Hello guys, welcome to the review for the quiz that you guys did last class. So this is a review and I really want you guys to pay very close attention since your group will not be with us, so you guys have the video to go by. Okay, so please pay very close attention because next week Monday you guys will have a quiz on the exact same topic again. Alright, so let's go ahead and look at number 1 here. It says here first thing we want to do is to go ahead and look at the answers. Whenever you are doing a test, first thing you want to do is to look at the answers. So looking at my answer here, I'm saying the data is discrete for the domain, the data is continuous, the data is discrete. I see. So I'm saying the word domain and the word discrete and continuous in the question. That means those are words that I'm going to need to know. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and jot them down to the side. We have discrete, continuous, and another word that I see in the answers are domain. So that means I really need to know what's going on here. Next thing you want to do is to go ahead and look at the question. The question says, which statement describes the data in the table? Okay, so it's talking about the table, so that means I need to look at here. And looking at the title, I can see that this table is about recall cars, country. The table is always in, and then here we have the range. So and then here my title again let me know that we are talking about recall cars. Now since we are talking about recall cars, that means we cannot have number of cars. So this data here will be discrete. So whenever we have to count something, whenever we have to count something, the data will be discrete. All right, I'm going to go ahead and jot it down here. All right, so most likely you will not get like unless if you're counting money, you will get like decimals, but most of the time you will not be getting any decimals. All right, and continuous will be something you have to measure. So for example, if we have to measure, if we're talking about the height of a team, the height of the boys on a basketball team, then that will be something we have to measure, then it will be continuous. But anything that we have to count, it's discrete. So in this case, we have to count the number of cars, and on top of it we cannot have decimals, so that's a fraction of a car coming, so this will be discrete. So automatically anything that says continuous, I'm going to eliminate. So now I have 50-50 chance of getting this questions correct. Now the next thing I see is it says here the data is discrete with a domain. So now my next focus is going to be on the domain. All right, so remember this is X, this is Y, and when I look at inside of these things, they are talking about X. I'm gonna see here X, 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 X. So I'm going to really focus on this right here, on the very first column. So the first column, the domain is going from between 1 to 5, so the answer would be A. So because the numbers are between 1 and 5 in the domain. Again, another clue to let me know this is the domain, X on the inside, not Y. All right, so that was number 1. Let's move on to the next one. All right, so here is another question. So first thing so here's number 2. First thing we want to do is to look at our choices, as this is multiple choice and the answers are in feet, so probably they're going to ask me to find the feet of something. So now next thing we want to do is to go ahead and look at the table. So the table here, feet, and here's my x and y. So that means the question has something to do with the y, with the range. So let's go now and look at the question. Assuming the tree grew at a steady rate, what was the height of the tree at 10 years of age? Okay, so again, it is growing at a steady rate. This is very important to know. And they want to know what was the at 10 years. Basically, well, how old was the tree when it was 10 years old? Now a lot of you now we need to go back and take a look at the actual question, because here we need some type of information. We could try to figure it out from here by trying to figure out a pattern here, but here again we will be assuming that this is going up by 7. Okay, so if this is going up by 7, so here will be 14, and going backwards we have to subtract 14, then this will be 7. So that is one technique we could use here. But let's read the question to see if we're okay with that. All right, so it says here, in 1925 Thomas Edison planted the first banyan tree in the US at Edison Winter Estate in Fort Myers. That tree originally only 4 feet tall, now spreads over an area 400 feet in diameter. The table below shows the approximate height in feet of a young banyan tree at various ages. Okay, so basically the body of the question doesn't really have anything to help us out, so we have to go by the graph. So does it matter that the tree that we first planted was 4 years old? No. So they didn't really tell us anything here about how fast the tree is growing, but here by looking at the graph we can see how the tree is changing every 10 years. So we can see every 10 years it's going up by 7. So from here to here it's going up by 7. Okay, by 7, and from here to here it's going up by 7. So every 10 years is going up by 7. So that means from here to here we have to actually subtract to figure out what number did we add 7 to get 21. So this has to be 14, and then what number did we add to 7 to get 14? So this one had to be 7 going back. So here the answer will be A. Again, sometimes the questions, just by looking at the answer and looking at the question in the table, you're able to figure it out. This one, in this case, all that information is unnecessary. All right, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so here is a question, and here again I'm looking. Oh, this must be a short answer. I do not see any choices, but I believe on the quiz it was yeah, I don't know, I don't remember, but I don't see no multiple choices here. So let's go ahead and read. I see a table here. Speed of motorcycle in miles per hour. I already know this is my x, this is my y. Get into the habit of labeling x, y in case of the question has anything to do with domain and the range. All right, so this is D and R. Remember DMX, right? The x is the domain, R is the range, the y is the range. Based on this data, how far can he expect to jump? Okay, so I have to read the whole question. We're looking for how far can you expect to jump. So the question is a little ambiguous, so let's go ahead and read the whole thing. Dustin has determined there is a linear relationship between the speed of his motorcycle when he takes off from a jump and the length of his jump. Okay, I can see here. He has recorded his data in the table below. Dustin decides to do a jump with a takeoff speed of 95. So here's my takeoff speed is going to be 95 miles per hour. Based on this data, how far can he expect to jump? Okay, so alright, so here we are talking about rise over run, because here I need to find the rate and the rate is also the slope. And remember to find the slope of a line. Again, this is a linear relationship, so I know it's going to be a line. To find the slope of a line, all I need is really 2 points on the line. So I'm going to use these 2 for my y's and these 2 for my x's. Now the change here will be 13.5 when we subtract those two. 54 minus 14.5, so that'll be 13.5. 60 minus 45, that'll be 15. And the slope, again, remember it is y over x, so the y is 13.5, or the rise, and the run, or the x, will be 15. Now remember this 15, the units are in miles per hour. That's the speed. And this one right here is the distance in feet. Now we are trying to figure out for his distance for 95. Since it's linear, so that means his rate is always the same. So this right here is always the same. Now I can go ahead and set up a proportion very easily. And 95 miles per hour will go here. Again, miles per hour. Okay, miles per hour, and then we are solving for the feet, the distance feet that I do not know. And from there we can just grab a cal and find the cross product. So we do 13.5 times 95. Okay, and then we divide that by 15. And we have 85.5 feet. Okay, now looking at the table, 90 is 81 and 105 is 94. So we expected 95 to be a little bit in between, you know, these two numbers. So this answer here makes sense. Again, here we use the slope to set up a proportion to find the rate, and we set up a proportion. All right, next one. Okay, so here is another question. I'm seeing favorite words. I'm seeing discrete, continuous. So that means we have to remember these, and of course you're asking about the range. All right, now before I even look at anything, everything here says range. So remember, if we're talking about the range, that means we're talking about what? Which one, x or y? Y. So anything that says x, I can automatically eliminate. So this one says x, this one says x. So these guys are out, because if we're talking about the range, we know it has to be y. Okay, now we have x and y on the table. Always jot them down. This is the domain, remember the mx and the range. So now what are we talking about here? The question is asking, based on the information in the table, which of the following is a valid statement about Sandy's recorded findings? And I'm seeing recording distance, sound travel in dry air. Now if I'm going to find the distance of something, I have to measure it. So remember, whenever we have to measure something, it's going to be continuous. Okay, and we are going to end up with a lot of decimal places because we can measure it very accurately. All right, so now this data here will be continuous, and so here is the answer. You guys see how easy that was? Just use those little test taking skills, techniques that we are showing you. All right, next one, I believe. Again, important things to remember. Continuous, we measure. In this case, we are measuring the distance. We cannot count the distance. We have to physically measure it. So it has to be continuous. So remember those, please. Alright, here is another question. This one here we have a graph. Alright, here it says a kayak ride. So here I'm seeing graphs, okay? Those are my choices. Let's read the question. Which graph could be used to find the cost of renting a kayak for 4 hours? Okay, they both says 4, so let's read the whole thing. A kayak rental company charges a fee of $6. It charges a fee of $6 plus $3 an hour to rent. So this is going to be my rate. So whatever it says, $3 for each hour, $3 each. So this is my rate right here. And the rate is also the slope. Please remember that. So, and then it says a kayak rental charges a fee of $6. So here I can expect to start at $6. Right? Very easy. Alright, before I start going and start renting the car, even before I leave, I have to pay that $6 before the kayak. So before I leave that kayak, I need to be at $6. I have to give them the $6. So the answer here would be B, because we are starting at 6, not at 0. They're not going to let me leave until I give them that basic fee. Okay, so I can write this down into an equation format. So it's going to be y equal 3x plus 6. Okay, because it's 3 times the number of hours, whereas y would be my total cost and x would be hours. Okay, number of hours that I rent will be my x. To get the total cost, I have to do 3 times the total number of hours plus the $6. And we all know that this right here is the y-intercept. So please remember that. We learned about that last week. This is the y-intercept. So we need to start at 6. This one, not that one. Alright, pretty easy. Alright, last question for this benchmark. This is benchmark 1.1, by the way. And it says, what is the range of the data? Now, some of you guys completely forgot about this. So remember the range, remember the domain and the range. If we can put this data in a table, the domain will be, so we'll have -4, 3, 2, 1, 0, 3, -3, -2. So these are the exact same points, but I just put them in a table format because it's nice and easy to see them. Or another thing you could do x, y, x, y, x, y, x and y. And since they want the range, so that means they only want the y's. Remember, this is x, this is y. So they want the range, I'll give them all this. They want the range, looking at this one, I'll only give them the y's. And that's it. So to put it in order, remember everything needs to be in order when we put them. So it's going to look like this. So smallest here would be -2. Okay, -2, 1, and 3. Now because the 3 repeats right here and right here, all right, so we didn't have to write it 2 times and we're done. So it will be -2, 1, 3. If they wanted the domain, then we will give them that one, but since they want the range, we give these. All right, so hopefully this refresh your memory. You will see similar questions on the winter entry in 2 weeks, so please make sure you guys review these and study. Okay, all right, so that's it for today. Have a good one. Bye bye.